All right, are we all set?
We are.
Wonderful. So, hello everyone. My name is Christina Edwards, and joining me today is Carrie Poe, and we are with the KU Small Business Development Center. At first, we're going to share a little bit about what we do at the SBDC, and then we're going to focus in on some marketing tips and tricks. So, with that, I'll let my colleague Carrie take it away.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, let me introduce you to our team, the rest of our team, which is Christian Hopkins, another full-time business advisor with us, and our part-time advisor, Will Katz, who is also a certified valuation analyst. The SBDC is not a unique organization. We are actually across the United States, and the KUSBC covers 6 counties. So we cover Franklin, Douglas, Donovan, Leavenworth, and Atchison, and Jefferson. Our mission is very straightforward. It is to help more people, and we do that by growing Kansas one small business at a time. So what is it that we do at the SBDC? The main part of our job is to provide one-on-one free and confidential advising for startup businesses and existing businesses. So we provide focused trainings like we are today. We also help connect you to resources in your community or nearby that can support you. So we have vetted referral lists by other small business owners that might say, hey, we had this great experience with a bank for getting our loan, or maybe an accountant or a lawyer, those types of referrals. So those are some of the things we can provide to you. More specifically, some of the types of services we provide are things like helping you develop a business plan, working on a cash flow, kind of analyzing your profits, where maybe some expenses are showing up that you weren't identifying before but are affecting your bottom line. We can also help you with things like marketing and social media we'll be talking about today, along with if you're ever ready to buy or sell a business, we can give you some high-level business valuation information.
So today we're going to cover a couple of different digital marketing tools. So we're going to start by sharing a little bit about Google My Business. Then we're going to talk about some technical aspects of your website, talk about social media, and then finish with some tips and tricks and tools that you'll be able to take with you. The goal here is that if you either have these channels or want to build these channels, you can institute these actionable steps to either improve existing channels or create new ones. So with that, we'll go ahead and start with Google My Business. So as some of you may know, Google My Business is a free listing profile, and it was really developed to help small businesses compete with larger companies who had the budget to show up at the top of the search engine rankings. And so it just gives you an opportunity for your business to be found. And why it's so great is because it allows you to personalize your profile. It offers a first impression to your customers, and it also gives you an opportunity to connect with your customers. So the first step, if you do not have a Google My Business profile, or perhaps you don't have ownership of your Google My Business profile, the first step will be to claim that profile. So typically you can just Google My Business, enter in your business name and address, and it'll take you through the steps to claim your profile. The next thing that you're going to want to consider, which we'll go over in detail, is personalizing that profile. So making sure it has all the information associated with your business. And then finally, you want to manage it. So this isn't something that you'll create and forget about. You'll definitely want to make sure that as your business changes, you update the information, you respond to your customers, and also you leverage some of the tools that can help you grow your business. So a couple of tips and tricks that we'll go over today will include ensuring that you have accurate information, leveraging your ability to update photos, writing a compelling business description, utilizing keywords, leveraging customer reviews, and also using their Q&A system. So with that, we'll go into more detail. So the first thing that you want to ensure is that your information is accurate. So with your Google My Business listing, you'll be able to include your business name. You can also include your business category if your business participates in multiple categories. So for instance, maybe you're a retail shop, but you also have an online category, you can denote that. You want to make sure your business hours are accurate. And one of the things that we see often is that holiday hours are often not put on there. And so if your business ebbs and flows in terms of when it's opened and closed, or if weather affects your business, or if holidays affect your business, definitely make sure that reflects in the hours of operations. So if someone is looking to visit your business and they go, it's open. You want to make sure other information like your phone number and website are also accurate. And if you have a business area, you can always put down the address of your location. Or let's say you work from home, but you have a service area. Maybe you service Franklin County as a whole. You don't actually have to put down your personal address. You can do what's called a service area to showcase that you serve a larger area by keeping your address off and just showcasing the location that you serve. So the next thing that Google My Business will require is for you to upload photos. Now, this is incredibly important because it allows you to present yourself visually to your customers. So we always suggest having your business logo as your first photo. And some other ideas could include exterior photos, so what it looks like outside of the building, interior photos, setting the expectation of what it looks inside. Product photos is another great concept to include. Perhaps you want to include photos of food and drink or teams, but again, this will establish your visual identity to your customers. So it's really important to select good photos, but also to include a variety to showcase the various aspects of your business to your potential customer. The next component of Google My Business that's incredibly important is the description. So this is important for a number of reasons. One, it signals to Google what it is that you do. So this is your opportunity to educate the search engine as far as what do you offer? What are some unique selling points? Are there special offerings or services that you provide? But it also educates your customers too. So again, it's really important to spend some time putting together a compelling business description. You don't want it to be too complex or too big. You want to make sure it highlights key information. You want to set yourself apart. And with that, I'll give you a couple of examples. So here are two examples of good, compelling business descriptions. So we see example 4, for instance, it's a plumbing company. So let's call it Business A. Business A is a family-owned and locally operated plumbing company that has been around since 2001. Our plumbers serve Franklin County, including maintenance, repairs, installs, and emergency services. Trust Business A to provide you with fast, affordable, and honest service 24/7. And then you can always include your mission statement, for instance, to really round this out. But why this is such a compelling business description is it obviously speaks to what you do. So it's a plumbing service, but more specifically, it showcases that you offer maintenance and repairs, installs, and emergency service. It's available 24/7. So if you all who are in Kansas remember a couple months ago, we had some really, really low temperature days and a lot of people's pipes froze. And so emergency services could be a really important aspect or service that people are looking for. So again, these just give you some inspiration on how to write a really good, compelling business description. The next thing that you're going to want to consider is optimizing your Google business profile with keywords. So keywords really showcase the industry that you're in, the product or service that you sell, showcases what you specialize in, highlights your business attributes, and sometimes if you're not sure what those words are, or what they could be, you can always think about what is it that customers say about my business? How are they labeling my business? So one example that I use often when I think about keywords is I was working with the vintage shop and they were really specific on leveraging the word vintage. And the area that they were located in had a really good clientele that visited antique shops. So one of the things that they were struggling with is that their customers were using the word antiques while they were holding on to the word vintage. So when we were thinking about keywords, we decided to incorporate both, take into account what their customers were saying, but also leveraging the words that were important to their model. So that's just an example of keywords that you could potentially use. The next important thing about Google My Business profile is reviews. So this is really important for a number of reasons. One, it will showcase that your business has an existing customer base. Two, it'll showcase whether that customer base reviews your businesses positively or negatively, but also it provides just more information and is a great marketing tool for a particular business. So, as a business owner, it is your job to make sure that customers review your Google My Business profile. So, you can either ask them in person, maybe you've had a really great interaction, and you say, "Hey, would you be willing to write a review?" Or you can ask in marketing materials. So, for instance, maybe your email signature says, "If you've had good service, leave us a review," and you can link it to your Google My Business profile. The important thing is you want to make it easy for customers, and you also want to make sure you engage with those reviews. So if someone leaves a really positive comment, it's great to offer that information or offer some thanks for their great review, or let's say they offer a not so great review. This is your opportunity to either take it offline by saying, "We want to make this right," and respond immediately. Or you can provide additional context. But again, it just showcases that you're active in your business and supportive of your customers. Another component of Google My Business that you could potentially leverage is their Q&A section. So this is exactly what it sounds like. It's an opportunity to ask questions and answer those questions. Now, there are two ways that this can occur. One, your customers could ask questions, or two, you could actually ask and answer your own questions. And that's really great because if you get a lot of calls about a particular topic, you can preempt these topics and ask those questions and answer those questions. So if someone's interested about pricing, products, hours of operations, or any other questions that you could think about that your customers frequently ask, you can again answer those on your Google My Business profile. So moving on, just to wrap up quickly, Google My Business is a really great tool. It's absolutely free, and no single business will put together the perfect Google My Business profile. So what we highly recommend is looking back and seeing how you can make incremental improvements to really leverage this as a tool to market your business and grow your customer base. So now I'm going to transition into another marketing tool. And today we're going to talk about the website and some simple search engine optimization that you can either do to update your website or leverage to create a new website. So when we're talking about search engine optimization, there are certain categories or certain activities that you can conduct to make your website more appealing to search engines. Now, when I say search engines, I mean Google, Yahoo, Bing, and the goal of search engines is to show people exactly what they're searching for. So as a business owner, you have to educate the search engines. So when someone is searching for something that you offer, whether it's a product or service, you can be found. So one of the tips that we provide to small business owners as it relates to SEO is alt text. Now, alt text is basically a fancy way of saying label your images. Now, fun fact, Google will crawl your website. They have something called spiders that read through every aspect of your website and index that content. Now, those spiders cannot read images. So it's your opportunity to label images so they can index that content. It also allows for those who are unable to consume photos to know what the images contain by providing that additional context. So as you can see on the page here, most websites will have an option to add the alt text to your web page. And quite honestly, if you are leveraging Wix, WordPress, Squarespace, any website platform, you can literally Google how to label my images, WordPress, Wix, Squarespace. And more often than not, you can find a great article that takes you step by step. Now, this next slide, I'm showcasing how you actually label your photos. So you want to be specific. You also want to use decorative images, so the quality is really important. You want to integrate keywords, so you want to use the keywords that are in the image that describe the image. You don't want to keyword stuff, as they say, by just using a repetitive word. And you also want to skip redundant phrases. So here we have an image of a rooster. Now, some okay alt text would be rooster. It describes what the image is, right? It's a bird, or it's a rooster more specifically. Now, really good alt text would have you write red-crested rooster crowing. And that really specifically shows what's showcased in this photo. And once again, it allows Google to read the image. So, in addition to labeling your photos, you also want to label the pages on your website. And those are what's called title tags. So, as you can see depicted in the image here, we see examples of different title tags. So, as a business owner, every single page on your website should have a unique title tag. So, again, you want a unique, accurate title for each web page. You want to keep it brief. You don't have a lot of opportunity to have a super lengthy title. You also want to use a title tag that accurately describes the page's content. Again, when someone's searching for something on the internet, it's what they're seeing that is enticing them to go to your website. So you want to make sure it's accurate because, again, people want to find what they're looking for. And just like I said about alt text for your images, you don't want to just throw in a bunch of keywords in hopes that you're going to rank for something. You want to use them organically. So moving on, we have our labeling of photos. We have our labeling of pages on our website. The next thing that we want to do is what's called meta text or meta description. And this is where you will describe the page. So as you can see here, meta description is going to be the brief synopsis of what someone can expect on the page. So we see Australian Shepherd dog breed information. That's the title tag. But then we see right breed for you, Australian Shepherd information, including personality, history, grooming, pictures, videos, and the AKC breed standard. So we know what to expect when we're going to click on this page. So when you're writing your meta text or meta descriptions, you want to be aware that you only have 105 characters, so it is limited in length. You also want to include keywords that will entice people to click on your website so they can find what they're looking for. You want to give users the idea of what they'll see when they click on that page. So again, accurately describe what's in that page. You can always include what's called a call to action. So you can say something like, click on page to learn more, call us now. Just a different way to entice them to move forward. Each page on your website should be unique, as should your description of each page, and also include important product or service information. Again, this is to help educate the customer, but also educate the search engine so you can rank higher. Another aspect of search engine optimization is keywords. And you've heard me use the word keywords in a lot of different aspects on your Google My Business profile, in your alt text, your title tags, your meta description. And keywords are incredibly important because it showcases what it is that you provide, whether it's a product or service. It connects to what customers are searching for, right? If we're looking for a plumber, we want plumbing websites to come up. If we're looking for plumbers in Douglas County, for instance, if we search that, we hope that's what's showing up in the top of the search engine rankings. So an activity that business owners can conduct is what's called keyword research. There's lots of tools out there that will help you ideate different keywords that you could use on your website. You can also think about words that your customer uses. Again, thinking about that antique versus vintage example I mentioned earlier. You can also think about synonyms or variations. Again, customers may be searching for different things, looking for one particular thing. So really just understanding what are the different variations that one could search for when they're looking for plumbing, emergency plumbing service in my area, for instance. And then again, you want to make sure you're using keywords in all aspects of your website, including the ones that we discussed before. Now, when it comes to search engine optimization, it can be really complex. But if you break it down, you can make incremental improvements by updating the various aspects that we've talked about so far. Another area that you could potentially update your website is in how you structure the page. And so that's where we get into a conversation about header tags or header structure. And it basically allows you to outline your website to signify the importance of the different areas of your website. So, for instance, H1 is typically the biggest text on the page. And the biggest text on the page showcases to Google that this is the most important information to be shown. And then as we look at H2, H3, H4, H5, for example, that showcases less and less important information. Now, when Google or other search engines are indexing or reading through your website, they're looking at the words that are used in these different title header tags. And so it's a great way to improve your search engine rankings by leveraging keywords in these different titles. So I'll give you an example. Well, before we get to that, header structure also breaks up blocks of text, right? So it makes it easier for the reader to consume. It makes it scannable. And quite honestly, it just more visually structures the website. So here's an example of different header tags. Now we know the most important aspect of this web page is that it's showcasing the best photo editors of 2023. The next important thing is it's actually talking about what those best photo editors are. So we see that reflected in H2. And then it gets less and less important. But what we can see here is this is a well-structured web page. The text is broken up in a digestible way, and it follows a natural progression of information. So if someone is searching for Adobe Photoshop or they're looking for the best editors, these are the keywords that Google is indexing for this particular website. So when someone's searching for it, this will show up. So, like I mentioned before, you definitely want to think about using keywords because headers, and the bigger the header showcases the importance. So if you're a plumber in Franklin County, those are two really important keywords to use in those H1, H2 tags. Now, the last thing that I'll talk about when it comes to simple SEO is backlinks. So there are two kind of big overarching categories that Google looks at when ranking a website. Number one is going to be content. And so when we talk about labeling your images, labeling title tags, describing your web page, using keywords, header structure, and using keywords in your headers, that's all the content component of search engine optimization and ranking. Now, the other aspect of search engine optimization and ranking is what we call backlinks. And why backlinks are so important is because it lends credibility to your website. Now, what are backlinks? Backlinks are basically your website is linked on another website. So it serves as a form of validation. It indicates to search engines that your site is trustworthy, credible, and authoritative. It can, like I mentioned, lead to higher rankings. And it's a vote of confidence from other websites that they trust your website enough that they're willing to have it on their website. So I tell business owners, developing a simple backlink strategy can help you show up higher on the search engine search engine tools. So how do you institute a backlink strategy? Well, one way to do that is to make sure your business is listed on local directories. This could be your local chamber, this could be local networking groups, this could be directories for your particular industry. So, for instance, Psychology Today is a directory for therapists in a given area. Another backlink strategy would be to have a Google My Business profile where you can link your website. If you partner with other businesses or you have suppliers, that's another great space to ensure your website is listed. If you're participating in community events, again, another space where your website could be listed. You can also create shareable content. So for instance, perhaps you have a blog on your website that other businesses can share on their website. Shareable content is a great way to do that. And then also social media. Having your website listed on Facebook or Instagram is just another backlink strategy. So I know I talked about a lot of different things in the online space, but some final thoughts I want to share with you before I turn it over to my colleague, Carrie, is one, think about your customer. Think about the information that they want to know. Think about the words that they're using. Think about how you can build trust with your customer. Number two, you know your business really, really well. That does not mean the reader or the potential customer knows your business really well. So it's incredibly important for you to include the important information on your website, the important aspects of your business on your Google My Business profile. Number three, update consistently. You're not going to cover everything. You're not going to have a perfectly optimized website from day one. You're not going to have a completely ironclad Google My Business page from the beginning. So it's important to go through and update consistently. So perhaps Christmas is coming along and you need to update your hours. It's an opportunity to just improve the information and ultimately improve your rankings. And then finally, leverage your resources. I think it's incredibly daunting to do all the search engine steps and Google My Business steps all by yourself. Who has time for that, right? There could be potential resources out there that help you execute these particular tasks. And I don't want to give too much away because I know my colleague Carrie is going to speak to this, but there are lots of resources out there like the Small Business Development Center and other programs that exist that can help you and make those incremental improvements as a business owner. Now with that, I'll turn it over to Carrie.
Thanks, Christina. So let's switch gears and talk a little bit about social media. You might be thinking, wow, social media seems really overwhelming too. Maybe you haven't dipped your toe into a platform yet, or maybe you are, but it's not turning into what you're looking for it to give you that return on your investment. Or maybe it's doing great, but you just want to make a few incremental improvements. So hopefully one of these things will help you do that. So we're going to talk about defining your goal, making sure you know your target audience, how that leads into choosing the right platform, creating content calendars and why that can be a big strategy of social media. Also, engagement strategy, why visual content is so critical on this particular area of platforms of marketing. And then finally, why you might want to collaborate and cross promote, kind of like the backlinks. So first of all, you want to define your goals. Just like with any good strategy, you want to know what your real outcome goal is going to be of using social media. So is it going to be to increase community awareness that your business exists? Is it going to be to increase sales at a particular time? Is it maybe going to just help see that more people are engaging with your business in various ways? Maybe you're just trying to keep a track on what your competitors are doing. Maybe they're big social media users and you're really not, but is that working out for them? And you just kind of want to take a quick peek in to see how things are going. So when you're trying to define how you're meeting your goals, then, really it's easiest to kind of start out small. So maybe you want to pick one platform and you're going to measure it and see how many new likes you get to the page or how many new followers, those kinds of things, or maybe just how many views. And then you want to be sure that you check those metrics regularly to see how those types of posts are doing, or if people are taking that second step and making an additional click to find out more. You can also even just check and see if which ways the different platforms do those metrics. So sometimes it's just spending time in consuming all the information that will be generated so that you can figure out, okay, this is how I can quickly see how many likes there are, or this is how I can tell if other businesses are sharing about what my events are. So one of the key things with any marketing strategy as well is making sure that you're hitting your right target market. And so you might be posting maybe a lot, maybe a little on one platform, but you just aren't seeing people engage. Or maybe you had a special sale and nobody came in, or very few people did. And you're like, wow, I put a lot of time and effort into that. Well, maybe it's because your target market isn't actually on the platform you're spending your time on. So there are a lot of social media platforms to consider using, and we'll talk a little more about that as we go. But which one do you pick? Well, a little bit of it, of course, is your own user preference, but if you really want it to be effective, you need to know where your customers are. So think about, who are your customers that are usually using your products or services? How old are they? What are some of their interests? Maybe even what area do they live in? For example, are they Franklin County residents, or maybe you attract a wider audience? So, besides who you are reaching, is there maybe a space you're trying to expand into, a new target market? So, think about who else you might be trying to reach and how that might transition into using a new platform. So when you're thinking about that, right, we just talked about that target audience. You're kind of reshaping, okay, well, anybody could use your product and service. Narrowing it down will really help you create better, effective marketing. So then the next part to consider is, what type of post do you want to create? So if you're into writing and you want to create short posts, maybe that's Facebook or something like that. But maybe you're into videos and you want to create reels. So that could be Instagram. That could be maybe a longer video on YouTube. So starting to kind of consider what types of posts you're going to want to make, whether you're using one platform or multiple, is important. One of the keys I feel to having a successful, consistent social media strategy is to create a content calendar. So many of the platforms already have one where you can schedule several posts out. So you don't have to get on each day onto the platform to create your post. You can actually schedule them out. You could maybe make it a goal to schedule it out every couple weeks as you're getting used to it. Or maybe you want to put on a full month's worth of posts. But thinking about that will help you get that time blocked off on your calendar in order to accomplish this goal. Then you're going to want to gather your content. So whether you're going to need some photos that you've been at various events, or maybe you have some videos that you're going to need to edit and post, or maybe you're just collecting some links about other interesting events that you think your audience will want to know about. So when you're thinking about that content, also think about the type of content that you're going to be using. So sure, you could make a lot of educational posts or blogs, or maybe you want to incorporate some of those, special promotions highlighting either seasonal or special discount you're giving, those kinds of things. But it's important to keep variety. So think about how you can mix these things together. The next part of posting is going to be, how often are you going to do it? Are there going to be several posts per day, week, month? As you're thinking about that, it does depend on the platform, and also how often audiences are engaging. So maybe on Instagram, you're going to post 3 times a day, but maybe on Facebook, it's 3 times a week. So just consider that in how you're using the strategy. And then, of course, who's going to have time to complete this task? As many of you are likely small business owners, right? Or even solo entrepreneurs, this is another time-consuming task. So if it is something you can hand off to someone, or potentially use an intern or many other resources that we'll still talk about, maybe that's what you need to do. But if you determine that, hey, I'm going to have to spend 3 hours on content and I don't have that time, figure out who can help you with it. So the next part is thinking about how you're going to engage your audiences on your various platforms. And so it could be just as simple as inviting people to follow your page once they've liked something on your posts. It could be something about inviting them to events or maybe creating polls about, hey, what's going to be my next fragrance for my soap or something like that. But one of the things you want to be sure to do is to have prompt responses to comments. So whether it's like someone has posted and said, hey, I really loved that service I got from that 24/7 Franklin County plumber A, then you want to be sure you quickly respond to that and say, thank you so much for acknowledging our service. We really value our customers and their feedback. Anything like that, but making sure it's not 3 days later. You also want to think about how you could use it to highlight milestones of your business. Maybe you had your ribbon cutting with the chamber. There's a lot of possibilities, but those can be important too. And people like to celebrate with you. So think about how you can do that. And then finally, you can encourage tagging and sharing of your posts. So, maybe somebody is going to be doing something with you and you can encourage them to share it on your page. One of the most essential parts is the quality of your visual content on social media because that's how it's typically consumed. Sometimes short posts are, right? But a lot of it is actual visual. And if you think about earlier in the presentation, you may have noticed some various photos that Christina even used, and those may stay kind of stick in your mind and help you recall the different parts of content that we've shared so far. So think about what your visuals will look like, how you're going to generate them. If you need to improve on the quality of your content for your videography, then maybe you need to invest in a new tool to be able to create that, right? Whether it's a better camera or maybe even, a better phone, those kinds of things. And then you want to be sure that you think about when you're taking your photos and your visual content. So it could be about what you do behind the scenes to create, let's say, a piece of art, or maybe it is a little bit about how that plumber figures out to troubleshoot a certain aspect. That can be actually really interesting content for your viewers. And then finally, creating some visual stories. So words mean a lot, but obviously pictures can tell even more. So think about how you could create short stories with it. The next part is how you collaborate and you can even cross promote. So kind of like that black backlink strategy we talked about earlier. Think about tagging your strategic business partners. Maybe you guys are doing a collaborative event like a fun run, or maybe you created a basket together to donate to a special event. Think about how you can tag not only your collaborator, but also, maybe even the event and how you guys can share them together across each other's pages. um, and you can even think about getting industry influencers. So maybe there's somebody locally that is a big community participant that starts tagging you or your business in ways, maybe they had a great experience with you. That can be another way to improve your social media strategy. Finally, we mentioned we'd share a few tools that you could use to help create this content. One of them is Canva. There is a free version of it, and sometimes that is enough to get done what you need to do. Of course, you can always find enhanced templates or photo stock and those kinds of things by paying for it. But you can also use it to help create several posts for different types of platforms. So that's one of the things I like the best about Canva, and it's pretty user friendly. It has some great tutorials. It's designed kind of for the small business owner user. Another great tool we've been mentioning recently is how AI can help you. So in this instance, I used an example from Chat GPT, but you just throw in a question to Chat GPT and it can generate some content for you. And it might help you get past a writer's block, or it might help you think of some keywords for what you want to use in your website or in a social media post, or as you are tagging your photos, and just thinking about how it can save you time is really what this tool is about. We always want to remind you not to ever put personal info into any of these databases because that's exactly what they are. They'll store it in there and could potentially generate it back out to someone. You also want to take time to vet it for statistical information if it ever shares something like that when you're searching through it. And finally, you want to edit the actual content it creates. Don't just copy and paste it, make it your own. The last tool we want to mention is a Kansas micro internship. So far, we have had some really great projects come out of that, including things like social media campaigns or website production or even website upgrades. These are going to be very scoped projects, so it's very limited, up to 20 hours, I think it is, per project, and that value is up to $500. What's really great is the Kansas Department of Commerce is sponsoring some grants for this program. And so you may be able to post and have a specific need met by giving a student that attends a college or technical school here in Kansas an opportunity to also build their resume. So this is one of the great tools that we like to share with you as well. So a few of our final thoughts about your overall strategies is that you want to create consistent branding. This is really important to think about no matter what social media platform you're using, or especially if you use several. So if you can use your logo consistently, if you can use your same color scheme that identifies your business. For example, if you remember earlier in the pictures, there was like a McDonald's picture, right? How do I know without seeing the big yellow M? Because it had the red fry carton, right? And the certain type of cup that they use. So just thinking about those things, it helps create that brand recognition. And then be sure to schedule intentional and routine time to make those updates. The more consistent and present you are on whatever platform you decide to use, the more people are going to trust it as well, and even look at it sometimes without you even posting, trying to get them to, because they might be like, hey, I think I remember I saw a post about that. And you become a reliable tool that way. Finally, think about how you can leverage your various resources. So whether it's your team internally, or you're like, wow, I don't have time to do this every month. I'm going to ask this employee who's shown interest in how to help out the business and marketing, give them a chance to use some of their time that way. Or maybe it's just reaching out to resources like the SBDC, or watching free webinars online through the Kansas SBDC, or there's lots of great resources out there. So think about how you can use them to implement your new social media strategy.
So we want to thank everyone for attending this webinar. Hopefully you have learned a few tips and tricks to either create some digital marketing tools or reinvent or refresh those digital marketing tools. As we mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, the KUSBDC offers completely free and confidential business advising and services, which includes supporting you in your efforts to improve your business, whether it's in marketing, finance, management, etc. So here you'll find our contact information. We have a QR code that links to our website, our phone number, and address. We're always here to help. Even if you just have a question, don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you.